Hey, good afternoon, Justice Warriors, Justice League. How are you guys? I am starting out really late in the day. It is 10 to 2 on the East Coast Standard Time, and it's 10:23. So, yes, it's Tuesday, October 10th. Anybody in the house other than me and my squirrels? Mm, Bex, thank you. Nice to see you. All right. So I titled this one today Tabula Rusa because, sometimes I just get that feeling like my brain is a blank slate. Hey, Fred Field, hola. And I don't think that that's necessarily a bad thing. I think it's good to just like clear the decks and start fresh, right? Um, especially with these cases that let's just say we get really into them, but they get really old. It's just the same old. And it's the same old gaslighting crap from Jump. And then we all get gaslit, even when we know about the gaslighting and we know it's BS. It still is effective. That's why they do it. Susan, hello. How's everybody doing today? So let me start out with my normal, this thing. Please hit your thumbs up button, like, to help the algorithm, if you don't mind. And then you can share the video if it turns out to be a good one. I'll tell you a funny story about yesterday's. And then subscribe if you haven't yet. It's just you push a button and there's no commitment. But even if you are subscribed, you might want to check because sometimes you get unsubscribed for whatever reason. And then it's in the shadow there, but turn on your notification bell if you like to be notified because I just kind of do these surprise lives, right? Like my schedule's just a little wonky. Today I was able to get my teeth cleaned at the dentist. Hey, Mama T. So that's exciting. I love having my teeth clean. I don't like getting them cleaned. I like having them clean. So they feel that perfect way at the moment that they pretty much will only stay that way for a day, right? Anyway, it's always good to take care of your teeth. And if you remember, I missed my appointment a few weeks ago when I had to go to Chicago for my son's graduation from boot camp. I can't believe this is my life. Like, what happened? Did I like grow up or something? I don't know. I blinked and I grew up, and then I blinked again, and all my kids grew up. It's crazy. But no, the youngest one is still 11. My younger son is still sweet 16. And then my older son is 19 and he's away on special assignment. And if I told you, I'd have to kill you. So I won't tell you because, we don't want to do any of that. We don't want to be on somebody else's true crime. We want to talk about other true crimes. And then my oldest daughter, she's applying to graduate school. So she's going to be graduating in the spring, and she is on her way to becoming an occupational therapist. So, yeah, it's exciting. Hey, Mark. Fred says break before mowing lawn. We are supposed to have 5 days of rain starting tomorrow. Where are you at, Mr. Field? Mark says, congrats. Is that for the son who made it through boot camp or the daughter who is applying to graduate schools? Actually, she has all of her applications in, so now she's just waiting to hear back. Oh, you're in Chicago? Man, I love Chicago. I love it. And I didn't realize that the Navy, what do you call it? The national headquarters, the world headquarters for the Navy up there is in Lake Forest, which is like the nicest part of Chicago. It's one of the nicest places that I've ever been to. If you don't know Lake Forest, wow. It's where like the people who invented the yellow pages have their estate. And I'm not kidding. I'm not speaking metaphorically, I'm speaking literally. So it's those types of estates. Lake Forest is phenomenal. It's pretty far north of Chicago, right there on Lake Michigan. And that's where they have the Navy basic training. So I love Chicago. It was cool to go there, and I was just bummed when I came back and had a notification that I missed my dental appointment. So luckily they forgave me and they rescheduled me. So anyway, enough about that. I didn't do my everything I say is simply my opinion, simply for the sake of conversation, hoping to open up a fabulous discussion with my viewers. I'm always trying to learn something and hoping that my videos can be educational for others as well. So, this is what I wanted to share that was so funny from yesterday. As soon as I was done with my video, like the second I stopped it, I was like, "Oh man, that was the worst video I've ever made. I might have to like make that private." And you might wonder why if you were here, because then when I reviewed it later, it seemed fine. So I think the reasons why I felt really scattered during the video was because I've been scattering across several cases. As you guys know, the Maui case, the Maui massacre, the Idaho 4, that massacre, and Kylie Rodney, which seems to be massacre as well. I don't know if one person qualifies as massacre, but then you got Trinity Bacchus and others, so maybe, I don't know. And then we didn't talk about Suzanne Morphew, but I'm hoping to talk about that one today too. And so spreading out on 4 cases, it's a lot of stuff to remember and a lot of stuff to track, and then I try to, like, keep it in sections where I talk about one case and then the other and then the next, but then sometimes it goes back and forth because of my squirrel brain or because of comments that I missed or anyway. And then yesterday, what was it? The lighting was a little bit off, and there was something else. Was it like my hair or my crazy shirt or something? I mean, these are my problems that I don't like to burden you with. And you guys know I talk about it all the time, the freaking lighting, because don't you love this? Isn't it worth it? It's so flipping cool. And on Friday, I thought I nailed it. And then yesterday, I had some crazy thing going on over here that I'm never going to touch that again because that was driving me crazy when I was watching it. I was like, what the hell is that? And I know what it was. It was like a bunch of globe blue lights and then this weird plant that I don't have in my set today, but this plant looked bizarre over here in front of the weird blue lights. It looks okay now, but less is more, right? So I'll just stick it over here where we don't have to worry about it. Anyway, the hair does crazy stuff. The shirts do crazy stuff. I think I had some shirt issues yesterday. Yeah, I did. It was like I had a tank top and a jacket, and it kept like showing skin right here. And I was like, "Eh." So with the light thing over here, the shirt thing over here, the squirrels going through my brain, I was just like, holy crap, I think I need to delete that live. Like I've never felt that way when I stopped alive. And then, like I said, when I watched it, it seemed fine. So if you guys want to give me your feedback, oh, crazy. I'm telling you, being a content creator, everyone acts like it's so easy, right? But I'm so happy to be doing it, and I always like to say I'm so grateful for the problems that I have, seriously. Even when you have a problem child, which I do, at least you have a child, right? So it's a good problem to have, better than the alternative, in my opinion. But, for people that are single, they often want to be in a relationship. For people that are in a relationship, sometimes they want to be single. So it's not about getting what you want, it's about wanting what you've got, right? That Sheryl Crow song that I quoted not too long ago. So let's just bust out into song. Let's talk about some cases. Shall we start with Idaho 4 or Maui or one of the others? I think I want to start with one of those two. Hey, Huffy Gal. Fred says 45 miles southwest of downtown. Southwest, okay. And I'm scared to go there anymore due to carjackings and severe beatings, especially of geezers like me. spread field. That's so terrible. Yeah, we went downtown Chicago and it was not the warm, fuzzy place that I once felt like it was for sure. It's just sad to see, life, the cost of living has gotten so high. I think there's a higher incidence of homelessness and yeah, the crowds were crazy. Trying to find parking was crazy. But the weekend that we were there, they were having like a bite of Chicago or something like that. So it was extra crazy. But it was cool. We didn't make it to Shed Aquarium. If you've ever been to Shed Aquarium, they have beluga whales there, which are incredible. Was able to go there once many years ago, like 30 years ago. And I think it's the only time I've seen beluga whales in person. And I don't know about any of you that have seen beluga whales in person, but to me, it felt like I was looking at people inside of silly little whale costumes. I mean, they are so people looking. It's wild. And it was really cool. It was really magical. I was hoping to take the kids there, but it's really expensive if you go like same day without tickets or something, but you have to like make reservations and then you get the good deals. But if you don't make the reservations, you might not even get in. So, anyway, check it out if you can. So, which shall we jump in with? Idaho 4, because I keep saying there's not much happening on that case because there's not. However, we do have the airmail uh, chapter or what would you call it, episode from Howard Blum that he dropped just a few days ago. I think it was October 7th. And he is a very balanced writer, in my opinion, when he's covering this case, the Idaho 4. And I appreciate that. It really doesn't seem like he's leaning one way or the other. Um, just he's leaning towards innocent until proven guilty in a court of law, which is the way I think we should all approach it. But he did say a lot of wild things in that most recent chapter. So I think that what he's doing, I think it was part 6, is that he's basically writing a book, which is kind of hard to write a book before the case is wrapped up. But who knows how this case is going to wrapped up, if it's ever going to get wrapped up. Who knows how it will be, right? So let's see who else we got here. Um, Sandra Langford, hello again. I think that you're kind of newish, right? Or is it just, are you just newish to the commenting part? Um, anyway, so there were some big booms in the Howard Blum article. And where should we start? Tabula Rasa, Blank Brain. I think I wrote them down in my handy dandy. Okay, so the FBI contacted Shannon Gray to tell Steve Gonzo, his client, to back off of inquiring into a tipster that wished to remain anonymous. And they threatened that if he didn't take their advice, follow their suggestion, he would be in violation of federal laws if he continued to inquire. So I thought that was interesting. Um, this is something I've said before, and I want to say it again and again. And I'm just going to read my note here because, like I said, my brain be blank. I do so much better in the morning, but I had to get my teeth cleaned. Okay. And I have a cavity. Not really a cavity, but again, my problems aren't your problems. Just because Jack D didn't have any cuts or scrapes on his person when he took off his shirt for the Gonzo family, that does not mean that he knew nothing and had nothing to do with anything in regards to the slaying. In fact, his alibi is as bad as everybody's alibi at Truckee in the Truckee case, in Kylie Rodney's case. He's like speaking Truckanese. He was asleep. Oh, Wait, no, I was at the bar. Wait, no, I was asleep at my house? No, 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 I was asleep at my parents' house up in Coeur d'Alene, an hour away. So didn't he have 3 alibis? 3? Didn't he have 3 alibis? I think you're supposed to have 1, pretty sure. Just like you have 1 story, you don't change your story. So his alibi is one shady aspect of his whole character. Those flippin' phone calls that Kaylee and Madison or somebody made from Kaylee's phone and Madison's phone. I think in total it was 10 phone calls and texts that he didn't answer any of them. What's that about? Where's the explanation for that? Anybody? Um, So Sandra says, I pop in and out of chat when I can catch you live. Well, thank you so much. It's lovely to see a new face here. And I am just so appreciative for all of you. So thanks for being here. Huffy Gal says, my nephew that joined the Navy is now at an E4 level. And I'm so proud of him, but scared as he moves up. He is closer to being shipped out. I wanted to share with you. Well, thank you. Yeah. My son is wanting to be a hospital corpsman, so like a nurse medic basically. And so he tries to reassure me that he won't be in combat, but I'm like, dude, have you seen MASH? Come on. So so he also says he thinks anyway that he won't ever be in a submarine, but I think when you join the Navy, you have to keep an open mind. You just never know where I mean, anything in life, you never know where it'll take you, right? Yeah, it's pretty wild. I didn't even like the idea of him being at boot camp. I mean, just the kinds of things that they do there. So again, if he didn't tell me anything and anything that would tell you guys, I'd have to, unalive you. But most of us know what boot camp is. And I was kind of shocked that for his was 10 weeks long. Like he just kind of got the short straw. It's usually 8 weeks, and then they were going to change it to 10 weeks, and then they changed it back to the 8 weeks. So he got shafted with an extra 2 weeks. But he just rolls with it. He said it wasn't that bad. Which I don't believe him. I think he's just trying to make reassure his mom. Anyway, he hadn't come out of the uh the fort for the entire 10 weeks. It sounded like he hadn't even come out of a building for 10 weeks, like, seriously. Like, I know that they've got all these barracks and these buildings that go on for miles and miles, but I don't know that he saw the light of day for those 10 weeks, you guys, and that wouldn't surprise me with training to be in the Navy because you have to be ready to be in a freaking submarine, which to me would be a nightmare. So, yeah, thanks for sharing, Miss Huffy Gal. 3, huh? Alibis or alibis, exactly. So, yeah, he said he was asleep. He said he didn't go out because he was tired because he had to work that day. Publicly, we've never heard where he worked. I'm gonna guess maybe a frat house or something. That's just a shot in the dark. Anyway, he said he was asleep at his own place. Then at some point he said, "No, no, no, I was asleep in Coeur d'Alene at my parents' house." An hour away. And then that picture came out, hit the streets of YouTube, I think December 27th, the still shot from the back of the corner club where he's talking to Maddie and Kaylee. And all these people were like, oh, is that Jack D? And I was like, you guys are tripping. That's not Jack D. That doesn't even look like him. Then it turns out that it was him, confirmed multiple times by Kaylee's parents who have spoken with him about it. So that's him in the photograph, sitting there on the stool, talking to Maddie, talking to Kaylee, just a few feet away from Man Without a Face, James Fry, possibly, allegedly. in my humble conspiracy theory opinion, maybe it's a question. Is it? Is it James Fry? It looks just like him. And people have tried to say, "Oh, no, 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 that's Mark Trivelpiece, the owner of the bar." No, it ain't. It ain't Mark Trivelpiece, owner of the bar. I've done a whole bunch of posts recently and a long time ago too on my community page to show photographs of what Mark Trivelpiece looks like and what the man without a face looks like. And then I also have photographs of the police chief of the Moscow Police Department next to the man without a face. And he has the same posture, the same neck, the same ears, the same everything. But it's hard to see because man without a face has no face. But look at the pictures if you're wondering. And so Jack D is a few feet away from Jack S, hoodie guy, who's standing there talking to man without a face. And then Adam is right there. And those three guys, when I look at that photograph that we've all looked at a million times, it looks to me like those three guys are keeping a side eye on Kaylee and Maddie. And we have to go back. I have to go back and remember up front, the first few days after this happened, the police chief kept saying the girls were getting a lot of attention at the bar. They were getting a lot of attention, a lot of attention. And he didn't like elaborate on why they were getting so much attention, but I mean, it's pretty obvious. They're like two amazing looking young women with great personalities too, because we all know how much guys at bars care about that. But but young 21-year-old women who look like they look are always gonna get just bucket loads of attention at a bar. So I was suspicious right away. Like, why does he keep saying that? And then as time progressed, I thought, oh, he's saying that because everybody was focused on them, right? So we all know the grub truck, uh, the footage from the uh, whatever you call that thing, the feed, the live feed. It's got some weird name. I'm not into all that stuff. It's like the Twitter thing, right? Anyway, that live feed is creepy AF because people can be watching that to look for people that they want to then go down there and happen to bump into. I mean, it's kind of not the safest thing in the world. But in that Twitter feed, it looks like there's a lot of attention being paid to those girls. Again, I wonder if it wasn't sort of common knowledge that something was going on, that something was going to go down that night. And I'm not saying that anybody had any idea of what was going to be going down that night, just something. So it's pretty chilling. It's absolutely chilling. And it's just so tragic for these four people to lose their lives, for all of their friends and family to be completely hosed, and then for it to be almost a year later, and it seems to me that there are huge gaps in the information. That whole thing with the 8 hours, like, I hate going back to that like a broken record, but that be cray. That be cray. The 8-hour delay, but even crazier than that, because we all know some people don't call 911. Some people just don't. Not if their life depended on it. There's a lot of people who fear the police, and some for very good reason. So the big problem that I have with the 8-hour delay with the 911 call is the first responders acting like it's no big deal. So that's one of the reasons why I'm so suspicious of the law enforcement there, because then they tacked on another 4 hours to the 8 hours. You got 12 hours of pardon the trigger warning, 8 hours of decomp, 12 hours of decomp. It ain't good. It just, it makes me not trust that law enforcement at all, period. It's an emergency. An emergency. I can say the word. It's an absolute emergency, and they take 4 hours for the lead detective to get there, and then he's accompanied by the sergeant who was at the fake noise complaint call a couple months before, who also happens to be the same one that when Kaylee called for the missing person that she thought she saw at Walmart, he's also the same one that took that call, Sergeant Blaker. He's suspicious to me as well. Like, honestly, they all are. That whole freaking Moscow men and the Wazoo PD, pretty shady, in my humble opinion. Let's see. Michael says, "Hey everyone, I was watching a video on Cece's channel from like 6 or 7 months ago. Old Mark was in the comment section of a live stream chat, and it's a good video. And God bless everyone. Amen." Aw, yeah, old Mark. We miss him, don't we? Very much so. So, what's this comment? Very professional, not the first 48. Yeah, Mark, you were always right on the money. The first 48 hours are the most important, but the first 24 are even more important than the second. The first 12 are even more important than the subsequent in 12. So you got that out of the game, and it's going to be a lot harder to investigate accurately and to know even time of expiration. It's bad. I meant to let you guys know too. I don't have that much time for my live today, unfortunately, because it's gotten so late in the day. So let's go ahead and shift gears to Maui. It's the 10th today, like I said a minute ago, and Maui was set to reopen on the 8th, Western Maui, for tourism. I think that it did open on the 8th for tourism. I think that there's a lot of controversy about that still. Um, I've been listening to a lot of the local news and a lot of these town meetings, and it seems like the general consensus of the locals is it's too soon and give us a minute. And maybe some financial assistance would be a good idea so that people aren't feeling pressured to open to the tourism too soon. Like they don't even have clean water. You can't have tourists when you don't have clean water. You can't have anybody there when you don't have clean water. That's just craziness. Um, but I have something crazy to say about Maui. Are you ready? Are you sitting down? I'm just going to say it. This is my crazy idea. It's just an idea. I don't think anybody was meant to survive the Maui massacre. I don't think anybody was meant to survive. If there were no survivors, there would be nobody to tell the story. There'd be nobody to show the videos. There'd be nobody to talk about all the craziness that went down. And I've listened to a lot of testimonies and I've heard a lot of locals say that they don't have any hard feelings towards the first responders, not even the police department, that they think that everybody was doing their best. And I don't think so. And I also don't believe them. I think that when you're a trapped rat in a situation like that, you kind of have a gun to your head that you better say you trust these people and you think they did a good job. Because if you don't, they did it before, finish the job. Really don't think anybody was meant to survive that. And you look at these pictures of the war over there in Israel, And it looks the exact same, doesn't it? The cars are melted, the glass is melted. It looks the exact same. So I'm wondering if in the attacks over there, if they've been using the defense uh, direct energy weapon, the DEW. It's just so freaking awful. It's crazy that they're not doing like PPE loans for small businesses the way they did with COVID, that these small businesses could take these loans that they weren't expected to ever have to repay as long as they were being truthful and following the guidelines. So we all know there's going to be a ton of scammers when you have tragedies and crises like this. And it's just awful that people are stealing supplies from churches. And in a sense, I figure, okay, well, the people stealing must be in dire need. But if you're in dire need, just ask. That's what they're there for. They're there to help. And I just think that, like I said yesterday, that what's going on there with the Lahaina aftermath is setting a precedent, you guys. I think we all need to keep our attention there and we all need to do everything we can to help because people can't sustain themselves very well there. And a lot of people are leaving, going to other islands or even other parts of the island or even to the mainland. And then it's just going to be abandoned and it's going to be even easier for the land grab and the water grab and all that crap that really seems to me to be the motivation behind a potential conspiracy. So let's see. I agree with you. Total annihilation was what I believe was being aimed for. Right. And then the corralling people in. Oh, go back. It's not time to evacuate. Yeah, you wouldn't want to evacuate a minute early. You want to wait until the very last second. Like, give me a flippin' break. And that whole thing with the, live wires being down, and that's why they were trying to keep people away. Like, yeah, that's a good cover story, but the wires weren't live. There was no electricity. There was also no water. There was also no diesel fuel in the pumps to get the backup emergency water. Unreal. I mean, I've heard people reporting their personal experience of hosing down their home, trying to keep it from burning down, and then the hose running dry. Like, so the water was shut off. The water was shut off the night before in the middle of the night, in the wee hours of the morning, I think like 2 a.m. But so people that had water then that day, then that was shut off too. That was like some argument about like whose water it was. It's a freaking fire emergency. Like unbelievable. And normally in fire emergencies, you have helicopters flying over and dropping all that red stuff. They couldn't do that because of the winds, because of the high winds. But I have seen footage of some helicopters flying in and out of the smoke. So I don't know what those are. I don't know. But let's see. It was takeover and lives were irrelevant. Well, and these elitists that, let me just say, when Harpo was in the refugee camp delivering pillows herself by hand, she had a news crew with her to film her delivering pillows to people by hand. Like, yeah, you could see it from the other side that, well, that's so nice to think of people and bring them a pillow, but she wasn't supposed to be in there. And there were refugees in there that were very upset that she was in there. Very upset. I've seen some live film of people like going, "Who the hell let her in and why is she here? And no one's supposed to be here unless they're a refugee." And why was she there? Why did she want to go in there? Why did she want to hand people pillows herself rather than have some of her crew do that for her? Or have people line up and hand the pillows out? You know, anybody could do that. They could say, "Here's a pillow from you know who." But having her television crew there says it all. It was a photo op. It's all about her. It was coordinated and generator out of gas. Yeah, Mark, always on point, always on point. So what else did I want to say about the numbers? They're up to 98. Oh man, they're still under 100. Like, I can't believe they budged off of 97. I thought the numbers were going to keep settling down. I'm being sarcastic. Unbelievable. Sorry, my eyeball is super itchy. Um, Unbelievable that they're trying to say 98 people fatal from that fire. I don't believe that for a second. I think that I still believe that it's more like in around 1,000. That's my own personal opinion. Um, I think a lot of the people that perished were homeless, that they're not going to have, or let's just say, without shelter. It's much more politically correct, but more so than that, I'm just trying to be kind about it. People without shelter, that's not their identity. That's not who they are. So, people without shelter, people without cell phones, people without the means or the interest in staying in touch with people. And so nobody's going to report them missing. And I've told you guys, I might have an immediate family member who falls right into that category. And I don't have a connection there to even look into it. I mean, it's a long sordid story, but if you've been following my channel, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But maybe I should just say it. I don't like keeping people in the dark. Um, you know, Somebody in my immediate family that made an attempt on my life when I was 11 with a carbon monoxide poisoning incident, um, who I have had no contact with for 30 some years, could very well be, the last I heard, he was living in Hawaii. So could very well be one of those. And I don't think anybody would reach out for him. He's burned a lot of bridges. He's been in and out of prison, and he's got this genius IQ, but he's like criminally insane. And he was a good-looking guy with the movie star good looks, but he's gotten older, so that was the one thing that he was really able to manipulate people with, being tall, dark, and handsome and charming and all that. A lot of people fell for his crap, but um, I think he's also gotten crazier as time has gone by. Again, I don't know because I've been out of contact with him for well over 30 years and feel no need to really know because it's neither here nor there. But Chief Pelletier had said in one of his interviews a few weeks ago, well, at this point, it's been 5 weeks since the incident. So if anybody were to try to file a missing persons report, it would obviously be fraudulent. Like, okay, sure. So nobody is going to be tallied unless there's a missing persons report filed. And the missing persons report is not going to be filed if the police chief thinks it might be fraudulent. So you can try to make a missing persons report and it may or may not be reported. And that's the way it always goes with missing persons reports. They don't always take your information. Often people have to call back day after day after day. And then eventually, for whatever reason, they cave and say, okay, we'll take your missing persons report. So, um, yeah. Anyway, um, to Idaho just for a quick second. The whole thing with Ann Taylor representing the criminal defendant. If you guys haven't yet, please watch the last Speaks Van Holding 24/7, 365, where he talks about the conflict of interest potentially for Ann Taylor to be representing Brian Koberger. And, I think he's 100% on target with that. Um, I'm not sure that she is going to do a half-baked job for the criminal defendant. She seems like a very intelligent woman. It seems so far that she's represented him very well. If she were to do anything short of that, people would notice. So we'll see. I think that it's a very valid concern, the conflict of interest. But anyway, just watch the Speaks Van Holding if you haven't yet. I think he's very, very wise about the situation in particular. So let's see. Let's be gracious in giving, not for personal gain. That was a personal gain move that people didn't appreciate, and rightfully so. And I'm sorry, but pillows can cost anywhere from like 10 to $100 depending on your quality. And we're talking billionaire, a billionaire that starts the People's Fund of Maui and then asks for all of the common people to donate their money. Like, again, another photo op. Like, oh, look at me. Aren't I so nice? Hey, squirrel girl, what's going on? Look at me in my squirrel yoga. Do and yeah, I didn't text you. I'm sorry. I just never knew how I was going to be getting on, how late it was going to be. And sometimes I text you to say that I'm going on live in a minute and then it's an hour and I sorry. Hey Brenda, nice to see you too. I'm drinking out of my D's Nuts Squirrel Cup. Too funny. All right. Well, we have not gotten to the Kylie Rodney case yet. So I still want to talk about Kylie Rodney and then I want to talk about Suzanne Morphew. And we do need to wrap up soon too, unfortunately. But man, Ninja Chihuahua is nonstop with her awesome Kylie Rodney videos. And also the Divine Justice, aka Mrs. G, Honey Badger. I was like, what's the rest of it? She's also nonstop with her Kylie videos and Mark Molina. I know I haven't seen the videos, but I saw that CNY was doing a live yesterday on Kylie Rodney. Ara just did another amazing one that I spoke about yesterday, that 12-minute video that I put in my links, and I'll put it again today because it's so important. Um, and yeah, the librarian. You want to say anything about that one, Shan? Ara did two, but she lost the first one. Oh, dang it. I was telling people that at the beginning here, Shan, how hard it is to do a YouTube channel. I mean, we love it so much. We're so committed. It's like the top priority of almost everything I do is for you guys and to do this channel. I mean, it's such a cathartic experience for me. And I don't mean to use a fancy phrase that some people might not know. Cathartic is just another term for therapeutic. It's such an amazing process for me. I love it. So, thanks you guys for supporting my channel. I'll do my little thing a second time. Please hit your like button. Oh, I'm going to bump into that. And then share, subscribe, ring your notification bell. And what do we want to say about Ms. Kylie today, Shan? Mark? Mark keeps doing really good Kylie videos. Um, like, how about we just summarize the effery with the bestie, the alleged bestie who spearheaded the freaking investigation? Like, even if she actually were the best friend, you don't have a civilian spearhead an investigation. You're law enforcement. You spearhead the investigation. You can have somebody participating and helping, but did I say this yesterday? I think I did, about looking at the photographs of the community in their circle holding hands at ground zero, and how after um, Illuminated Minds video that they did with the quote unquote random, like, artificial intelligence images, how that just kind of spoke to me the way like a subconscious thought from your dream might come up, that those people standing there in that circle holding hands for the search, like, why are you spending time holding hands? You should be searching. Like, that is clear as day. They were not searching, they were holding hands because it was like a secret pact, is what my thought is. I'm curious if you guys have thoughts on that. Um, let's see. Sandra says maybe that's all that Oprah's little fun was able to collaborate with enough to buy a pillow. And so let's not put her own money towards once again later look like a joke. A little bit of typos, but it still reads well. It reads very well. Um, yeah. Thank you for your videos and keeping these cases alive. Sorry, I hit the send button too soon. They know it's fake for show. Yep. Well, thank you, Brenda. You're very welcome. It's my pleasure. Makeup Date with Jack says hello, Jazz, and everyone. Well, thanks you guys, because I really feel like you are the content. Like, I can come on and do pre-recorded videos with my notes, and it's just nowhere near as much fun. I love having you guys here. So you're very dear to my heart. I get so mushy sometimes, don't I? So, is there anything else we want to say about the Kylie Rodney case today before we switch over to Suzanne Morphew? Because, like I said, I am a little shy on time. April Cole, thank you for the name, Mark. You're awesome. Cole was the director at the Truckee Theater. And right, is there a relation to MC? But she is was hired as the librarian, right? Or is that the Truckee Theater that she was hired at? Um, because I'm going off of Ara's information about that. So I haven't really looked into it myself quite yet. I've been a little busy looking into everything else under the sun. I mean, really, the Maui case, I've been trying to do a lot of deep diving, so I really know what's going on over there, because that's a hard one to know what's going on. Being way the F out there. I mean, I've flown to Hawaii twice, and both times, like, you were just flying over the ocean for 8 hours straight, you guys. There's nothing below you except the ocean for 8 effing hours. And I don't really like to fly, so flying over land is much easier for me than flying over the water. So, like, I was shocked the first time I went out there because I hadn't thought about that. I hadn't thought about the fact that I was going to be over water for 8 hours. So, all I can think about is if the plane goes down, we are all doomed. And then I kind of thought I'd never go back because of that part of it, but at the same time, I loved it. I always wanted to go back. In fact, I never wanted to leave. The first time I went there, I never wanted to leave, but then, you know, you're done with your vacation, you go home and you're happy to be home and you're just like, yeah, it's a great place to vacation. So eventually my husband and I were able to go there together and that was amazing, but again, I was amazed that I was willing to get on an airplane to fly over water for 8 solid hours. Not fun at all. Um, and all of the flights back then, a million years ago when I went back, like that was in 90, 98, 97. I think it was September 97 was the last time I was there. um, all of the flights went to Honolulu. And then from Honolulu, you could take a flight to another island. It sounds like there are direct flights to Maui now, but that was one of the reasons why Maui and Kauai were so expensive was because of the plane hopping. And then the Big Island was less expensive, even though you had to plane hop to go there too. It's obviously bigger and it's not um, as touristed, and so they want tourists there, so they try to make it more affordable. So the first time I went there, I went just to the Big Island, and then when my husband and I went there in '97, we spent a week on Oahu and then a week on the Big Island. And it's a very, very magical place. It's a very rich place. It's a very intense dynamic. Like you can feel it when you're there and you're a tourist and you know that there's that tension. It's so thick you can cut it with a knife. The tension with the locals, with the natives, and the tourism. It's a love hate kind of thing. They rely on the tourism industry for a lot of um, financial industry, and it comes at quite a cost. So, um, it's a great place, and it seems like Lahaina, being that it was the first capital of the Hawaiian Islands, that has an especially rich culture, and all of the islands have an extremely rich culture. I mean, they are magical. So I really want to encourage anybody who is interested in going to the Hawaiian Islands to go and visit and learn about it. It's absolutely fascinating. And if Western uh, Maui is not ready for tourism, then that's a place not to go. But the rest of Maui is fine for tourism. So, you know, any of us that can send money or send prayers, I think every little bit helps. But anyway, how did I get back over to Maui? I was talking about Kylie. So let me stay focused for a moment here. Does the fact that some of us knew what cathartic meant, was there probably some therapy in our background? Well, you do get bonus points for that for sure. Sammy was an actress. Thanks for reminding me. Now I am canceling Hawaii. What did and then the connection between the Lake Tahoe area and Hawaii is pretty strong. I think that a lot of the people who frequent Tahoe frequent Hawaii, not just the people in the Kylie Rodney case. Um, Anyone keeping up with Sammy? I think Divine Justice, aka Mrs. G Honey Badger, was keeping up with Sammy. Said that she had quit college and that she got a job in Truckee, right? Last I heard she was home in Truckee working. Mark, can you confirm? Where is Sammy? It's like where's Waldo? That would be funny to make a thumbnail like that. So yeah, Divine Justice had been reporting that in, I think it was one of Squirrels on Fire's lives recently. Anyone see the latest CNY channels? So I saw yesterday that she was doing a live on Kylie Rodney, but I have not seen it yet. Um, so anybody that has seen it that wants to say something about it. Um, and then not only do I want to talk about Suzanne Morphew before we wrap up, but I also want to talk about this weird situation that somebody brought up in my chat last week, and I was really glad that they did, but I didn't have these notes. And it's about that politician. Her last name is Boebert, I think, Boebert. She was the woman who was kicked out of a theater with her date because she was vaping in front of a pregnant woman, and her date were groping each other explicitly. She had on a very low cut spaghetti strapped boulder holder dress that she was like falling out of, and they were also taking flash photos in the theater. It was a Beetlejuice performance, and she definitely looked like she'd had a boob job. I'm just going to say it because it wasn't just that she was showing off way too much cleavage. I mean, it was way beyond cleavage. Um, they also looked artificial to me, in my opinion. But she got kicked out for vaping and the flash photos and the groping. And then when her and her date were leaving, she was flipping off a bunch of the theater staff as she stormed out. And fortunately, the theater has like a night vision surveillance camera, so they were able to document, that they had the grounds to throw her out. But she is a politician, and she's also a mother of like four or five, and she thinks that this is an appropriate way to act in public. I just wanted to bring that up since I found my note with her name on it. Bobart, Bobert, crazy, completely crazy. Out to mow later, guys. Anyone? And let's see. Shan, did you get my email about I from Roanoke County, Virginia, was located in Florida and is back home now? In Shan, did you get her email? Um, I love that you're communicating about that here. That's fabulous. And let's see. Suzanne Morphew, what to say about that case before we wrap for the day, you guys. Um, I don't know how closely my viewers followed that case back when it happened, but for those that don't know, um, there's a lot of surveillance of Barry Morphew discarding his garbage all over, I think, from Broomsfield uh, back to the Poncho Springs area from Mayfield where they lived. I think five different places. I think that it was like a health food store in Salida that he was found dumpster diving, literally, and the establishment was just closing, and there was an employee there who interacted with Barry. I think they were like taking the garbage out and were like, "Dude, what are you doing in the dumpster?" And he's like, "Oh, I'm looking for my lost wife." And he like wrote down on a scrap of paper like blue helmet and some other things and handed them the scrap of paper. It was literally like a ripped scrap of paper that said like blue helmet, blue shirt or something like that. Didn't say her name, her height, her weight, none of that. And it seems to me that he was probably stashing some of the evidence and that he got really nervous and was just acting bizarre. But what I wanted to bring up was my theory that there could be substances involved with his situation. They owned property in Michigan that they had as an investment for growing medicinal marijuana or maybe for recreational marijuana, but it was a legal operation. And he acted like he didn't want his wife to experiment with medicinal marijuana, even though she was getting cancer treatment and she thought that it might be something that would help her. Um, his bizarre behavior has always made me wonder about substances for him, but also it's the financial part of it that really makes me wonder about substances for him. That if he was making some money with trafficking illegal substances, and then he had the perfect cover to launder the money with his landscaping business. And it doesn't seem like he was very good with money because there were always problems with money, and Suzanne was the source of the financial security. So I think money had a lot to do with the whole situation, not only that she was potentially wanting a divorce and potentially inheriting a lot of money from her father, but just the confrontations about the finances, that he needed to have access to money and he didn't want to have to explain himself to her. And we do know that she had a secret bank account too, which is more evidence that she was actually planning an escape. But I guess, and I've always felt this way ever since this case first started 3.5 years ago, was that he needed to access some money immediately. Um, he was like 6 months behind on some of his bills, you guys, for his business. I just remembered that. So yeah, there was a serious financial thing going on. He had a small business and it was during COVID, so there was all of that. And again, thinking about that whole situation being in Colorado at that point in time during COVID in May, it was May 10th of 2020. Um, People in Colorado were on a very strict stay at home kind of order for long term. Like you weren't allowed to go within like 3 miles of your home unless it was a doctor's appointment or to get groceries or something like that. I'm not 100% sure, but I do remember hearing about that. And then for the girls to be going on the bike trip, that was odd too. No, they weren't on a bike trip. She was in the middle of a big bike race. They were going on their camp trip. So again, going camping during COVID, I don't know. I do not know. Um, Squirrels says I have not been on the internet for more than catching lives while I do adulting stuff I need to handle. I just checked Discord for the first time in a week. We'll get to emails tonight or tomorrow morning. Defending Justice, aka Mrs. G, the honey badger. I left the out. I got your whole title right a number of times. When does Prosser close for winter? Very good question. Probably next month. I would think around November 15th. Um, let's see. Shan, adulting is a must. Understand that as well. And Divine Justice, aka Mrs. G, thank you so much for coming in. I do have to wrap up, unfortunately. I've gone on a little bit longer than I was planning on because I got started so late today. So I love you all. Sending you guys light, sending you love. Thank you for being here. And we will do this again tomorrow morning, hopefully much earlier than today's. So, on that, have a very good rest of your day. Make sure you stay well hydrated and well nourished and get your exercise, your relaxation, and your rest Take good care of yourself, be nice to people, make sure that people are kind to you, and just keep on keeping on. All right, you guys. Thanks so much. Have a great day. See you soon.